Good morning. Welcome to church. That's what the script says. My name is Jenny Chapelier, and I'm a member here at the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Venice, where we strive to be a beacon of liberal religion for the Florida Sun Coast, and also a refuge for all who seek a welcoming community. No matter your race, your creed, your ability, your class, no matter who you love, your gender expression, political affiliation, or religious belief. Here, we celebrate our differences as we learn from one another. If you'd like to know more about this congregation, you can see us on Facebook with announcements and calendar, but better still, go to our website at www.uucov.org, and you will find all kinds of great information about this congregation. We hope you find something in this service that speaks to you and maybe lifts you up, challenges you for spiritual growth and personal reflection. We're glad you have chosen to be with us this morning. Welcome to church today. If there's anyone who's visiting for the first time, we'd love to meet you. Would you be willing to stand, tell us your name and where you're from?
Hi, I'm Mary Gibson. I'm originally from Virginia. I live in Venice most of the year in North Carolina.
Welcome. Glad to have you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Sue Friedman. I just moved here from the Delray Beach, Boca area. But prior to that, I'm a New Yorker, Connecticut person.
Welcome. We're glad to have you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Barb. My husband and I, John, are visiting from Minnesota.
Have a good visit? Yeah. Yes.
Marcia McCoy-Feaster. I live in Michigan and half of the year in Venice.
Welcome. Okay, everybody's pointing. There you are, sir. Sorry. Tell us who you are and where you're from. Great, great. We hope to see you again. All right, if that's all the newbies, anyone leaving us this next week or so to go to your summer residence? Would you stand up, please? So we can all say goodbye. Anyone else? Is that it? Okay, safe travels to you. We have a few announcements, and while the announcements are being made, our collection will be taken. First announcement I get to give. Thursday, April 28th at 10:30, the Grief Support Group will meet in Waters Hall. It's a change from last time. It will be in Waters Hall on Thursday. Also on that day at 4 in the afternoon, here in the sanctuary, the choir will rehearse. Okay, Linda Underwood, you have something to announce.
Good morning. The membership team is going to be having something new this morning. It's called a meet and greet for visitors. So if you are a visitor and would like to meet some other visitors or get to meet some of our board members, we will be meeting directly after the service in Waters Hall. There are going to be some light refreshments, and we'll see how this goes. But visitors are important to us, and we would like to meet and greet you this morning. Thanks. Everybody that I've talked with knows where it is. You go out the driveway, it's the building on the right. It's got Waters Hall or administration on it.
Donna Schaefer has an announcement.
Good morning, everybody. This is the last and hopefully the final announcement about the Taste of Sri Lanka, which is being done by the Buddhist Meditation Center as a fundraiser for to replace their building. There's going to be a silent auction, a regular auction, and Bollywood dancers and singers and all kinds of things going on. It's being held on May the 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. for those of you that can attend. We are also doing takeout for those people that would like to come here to see the presentation that is going to be happening on the church and state at about that same time. So we hope you take advantage of it. I will be outside selling tickets, on the lanai selling tickets briefly afterwards. And the final day for the pre-sale is on Wednesday, the 27th. And you can purchase online also at the Blue Lotus Meditation Center website, or through Julie Johns, who's not here, or myself. So thank you very much.
Serena, let's see. Oh, you are.
Good morning. I'm Serena Canarelli. I'm doing an announcement for my husband, who is back at the AV table, and just very briefly, a reminder that also on Sunday, May 1st, in this congregation, we will be having a community forum with a very famous speaker who is going to be zoomed in from Americans United for Separation of Church and State. The topic is how strong is the wall of separation, and he's going to be talking about recent Supreme Court decisions that affect the wall of separation. So it's a very important community forum. It's our very first one that we are inviting the community, and we have posters around town. We've also invited UU of Port Charlotte, UU of Sarasota, and of course everyone here. The presenter is an attorney. His name is Anthony Bodakin, and he is from Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Two quick things. I want to praise the AV table and all of the gentlemen who have worked so hard and put in so many hours to try to make this possible. One of the sticking points was we could Zoom the speaker in, and he probably could see us. But we wanted to have a question, be able to direct questions directly to him and have him hear us. So it's my understanding that Dick Smith, Tom Reeves, Roger Roll, and am I missing anybody? Really put their heads together and were able to resolve the AV issue, which is not only good for this Sunday, but will be good for future presentations that we do on this in the UCUF Community Forum. The other thing I want to mention is we have a reactor panel. So we have Reverend Rao from St. Mark's Episcopal Church. We have Pastor Lynette McLean from the Center of Hope. And we just learned recently that the Rabbi, Benjamin Shul, is going to be joining us on the reactor panel as well, and he is from the Jewish Community Center of Venice. So thank you to the team members. The Community Forum team worked very hard on this. Bill Reynolds, Mo Morrison, Lee Carmody, Richard Canarelli, who led the group, and myself, who really didn't do that much.
Are any women going to be allowed to listen and also make comments?
Of course. Why would we?
Are they?
Women? Any women who's here?
In the panel?
Yeah, there is a female in the panel.
I'm sorry that I apologize.
Okay, that's fine.
And Steve, you have a special presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Leapley on the Board of Directors. Approximately a month ago, myself, my wife Eileen, Bill Reynolds, Ken and Ruth Boysworth went to a show at the Florida State College, and it was Evening Under the Stars. It was absolutely wonderful. However, it was cold, but other than that, it was wonderful. During that presentation, my guest here, Frederick Brown, who was a student there, not only sang, and he's absolutely a wonderful singer, but he gave a wonderful speech. I was so impressed that, shy as I am, I found him, I found him backstage, and I invited him to come. So that's what he's here for now, and he's going to give you a great talk. However, keep in mind that we're hoping that he's going to be able to put together a concert in the fall, in the fall, that's right, that would be the fall, and with a bunch of his friends and musicians, and you're going to be amazed at his talent, and hopefully shortly we may actually have him come and sing with our wonderful pianist. So here he is, Frederick Brown.
Good evening. I guess it's kind of morning now, so I thought I'd break it in. Hello, everyone. My name is Frederick Brown. I am currently preparing to graduate from SCF in the upcoming summer, and I am excited to share my story with you all. Throughout my early life, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. When I grew up, nothing really caught my interest until about the 6th grade, and when I decided to go and have the opportunity to try out different elective courses at our middle school, and for me, it ended up being orchestra and choir. And first with orchestra, I was chanted with the instrument I pick up, as mostly everyone goes for the violin, of course. I didn't want to do a bass, it was a little bit too heavy for me to bring home. Mother wouldn't let me have it. After sticking with it for the next 5 years, I decided I wanted to become a performer. And then later on in my junior year, I decided to join my school's choir. I went from barely being able to know sound or pitches and anything to then becoming a soloist in the Minnesota Honor Choir just a few years ago. And then as a high school member in the orchestra at my school, I was able to then join the Bradenton Symphony Orchestra as a community member before I went off to college and started studying at SCF. So I've been very fortunate for the opportunities that has led me to. Music has kept me busy for most of my life, and enjoying learning new things has helped me build my character. I appreciate all the things that I've learned and all the wonderful people I've had the opportunity to meet. My life is extremely exciting right now, but it didn't really start out that way. Coming from Brooklyn, New York, it wasn't really easy for my single mother to support a family of 4, so we moved over to Bradenton with my aunt in order to get a little bit more stability working for us to get back on our feet. Moving from place to place and school to school was a little bit hard for me to make new friends and to adjust to the new curriculum. I was able to get a little short grasp of that going on. It took my family about 8 months in order for us to find a permanent home for us to all stay together, and all was well for a time being until a certain episode happened in my brother's life. As he is prone to seizures, he has epilepsy. So when those seizures started to occur more to his health and started to risk his health a little bit more, we decided for him to take a little bit of break. And then the bills that kind of started to pile up just kind of came crashing down to us inevitably in the end. It was crucial for his health to take a break, and then I started to pick up a job to kind of help out with the food and bills that was happening around the place. But as the rent increased the next year and stuff got a little bit harder for us, it all eventually went down and we kind of had to separate. My mother only had enough money to save for a family of 2 for a 2-bedroom apartment, so we were able to move with my older brother and sister. And my eldest brother was let off to move with a friend that was able to pretty much help out with the situation while we were getting adjusted. Not long after we moved over, my mom had a sensitive family conflict in Trinidad that needed her attention with some family members she hasn't spoken to in a little while. And so during my senior year of high school, it was very much of a way of like, what should I do? Like, should I go to Trinidad or should I stay here and finish off my degree, diploma? And my mom was fortunate enough to make the ultimate decision of entrusting me to a family friend with my sister and I in order for me to then go on and graduate with my high school diploma for high school. At the State College of Florida, I'm a part of the chamber choir, jazz combo, and the Bradenton Symphony Orchestra. And as an independent student, I'm currently renting out a single room to kind of further solidify myself. I was very fortunate and very thankful of the previous church that I went to, that the new incoming youth pastor was able to have a room kind of situated for me. So I worked and talked a little bit with him, and that's kind of how I've been able to still provide for my stuff while still going to school. My goal as a third year here after I graduate is to go on and get my bachelor's in vocal performance, within the hopes of going on and getting my master's in choral conducting, and most likely instrumental conducting later on down the road. Here I stand before you. I very much am looking forward to the bright future that is held ahead of me. And just like my current professors and high school teachers, I want to motivate and guide students to develop their talents and give them solid advice that they can use throughout their lives. And then I want them to persevere through the challenges that, even though that life may be hard sometimes and what they might throw at you, as long as you keep bouncing back and fighting for it, then you absolutely be able to go for your dreams, that what you're going for. I think that's it. I didn't really have a good way to close it, so. But I do very much appreciate the very welcoming and atmosphere that you all have given me this evening, and I very much hope to see you all soon. And eventually is coming back to do some performances here for you all as well. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you.
A Call to Worship by the Reverend John Haynes Holmes. He was a prominent Unitarian minister, a pacifist, and co-founder of the NAACP and ACLU. Nothing any theologian ever wrote about God has helped me very much, but everything that the poets have written about flowers and birds and skies and seas and the saviors of the race and God, whatever God may be, has at one time or another reached to my soul. As we gather for worship with those words, we light the chalice in recognition of Unitarian Universalism's first choice, direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Our next hymn is hymn number 389, Gathered Here. Please stand if you're able. And now a story for all ages.
Where would you ladies like to sit? Okay, good morning. My name is Jennifer Amon. I'm the mom of a couple of the kids you see running around here. I don't know if the congregation knows this, but our youngest UCOVers are doing the Our Whole Lives program right now, led by Miss Stephanie. So you may not see them for the next few weeks as they go through that program. But I have these two very brilliant young ladies with me today, so we're going to share a story. Miss Kathy has asked me to read. One of the great things about UCOV is that we get to learn about a lot of different religions. Today, she's asked me to read a story from the Christian tradition. It's actually called Churches Are Helpers by Martha Dallas. Have you ever wondered how it came to be that churches are known as places where you can get a helping hand when you need one? It seems to me that a key source of the charitable nature of churches goes all the way back to the time of Jesus. You see, in the society in which Jesus lived, in his time and place, things were very unfair and unjust. At that time, there were a few people at the top who were rich and powerful. And there were a bunch of people at the bottom. And these were often people who were thirsty, hungry, and poor. They were homeless and sick and disabled. And in that society, the people at the bottom were considered to be untouchable. It was thought that people who needed these kinds of help were so much at the bottom that if you even touched one of them, you risked becoming untouchable yourself. There were even rules and codes to follow to make sure that the classes of society remained safely separated from each other. And you know what Jesus thought about this? He absolutely believed it was wrong. And he rejected this unfair society with the people at the bottom who were considered untouchable. He preached against it, and what's more, he acted against it. He deliberately hung out with the untouchable people. And what's more, he touched them. In fact, there are stories of Jesus' healing touch, touching all these people at the bottom, whom society told him not to touch. Jesus showed these people mercy, compassion, and love, and the stories of his healing touch have come down through the centuries to us. Well, the Gospels that speak about Jesus and the early church that emerged took this part of Jesus' message to heart. The church believed that if someone is thirsty, you should give them something to drink. If you find someone who's hungry, you offer them food. If you see someone who's poor, give them some money so they can buy what they need. For people who are homeless, offer them shelter. With those who are sick, help them get medicine and treatment for their illness. And for people with disabilities, offer them a helping hand so they can get around in the world. Following Jesus' example, this is what the church has worked to do. Because when you see someone who has a need for help, and then you decide to offer them the kind of help that they need, well, that's God right there. When you offer a helping hand to someone who needs it, you allow a little bit of heaven to shine right here on earth. And that's what we're doing today. There's a note at the bottom of the story. It says, "This reflection was given on the occasion of my congregation's annual participation in a collaborative urban ministry effort. We were distributing empty grocery bags, which parishioners were to fill in return. The items they purchase are provided to people in need." And that's the story.
Now it's time for celebrations and sorrows. Our guest minister, Beth Miller, will be bringing the microphone around to you. First, let's start with the good stuff, the celebrations. Anyone have a celebration you want to share?
Raise your hand. I'll come. Get my exercise.
My name is Ken Boysworth. I'm on your Board of Trustees. Last week, we took up a collection for the Blue Lotus Buddhist, and we issued a check for $961. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
My name is Lynn Jordan, and I have a new great-grandson, the fourth boy.
Thank you.
Any more celebrations?
Over here.
Thank you. My name is Kendra Moss. I just want to thank everybody who participated in the Easter parade last Sunday. It was an early tradition in our congregation led by one of our first members, Tina Rice, who was 90 years old. And by golly, she got us doing the Easter parade. I'm so glad that people participated. Men can join us next year, too. Just wear a hat or just walk around with us. It's lots of fun.
Thank you.
Any more celebrations?
Where was that hand?
Right here.
My name is Rosemary Hagan, and Kendra just inspired me when she said that men are allowed to be in something too. I really am for men and women working together. You know, I think it might help. It might even work.
Maybe worth a try. Anybody else?
Anyone have a sorrow or a concern that you want to share this morning?
Hi, I'm Roger Rowell. As we get ready to leave you, I just feel like I need to share that my sense of despair I can't quite shake about the fact that our country is struggling with making good decisions. And I look around and I meet Floridians and I look at them very suspiciously now, you know, like, are you one of us or are you one of them? And it's gotten so that the only person I trust is me and Unitarians. And I'm not too sure about you guys either.
Thanks, Roger. Any other concerns? Okay. Divinity is Our Birthright by the Reverend Victoria Weinstein. Divinity is our birthright. God nods to God from behind each of us. But let us remember, as Mr. Emerson said, divinity is behind our failures and follies also. In the silence that follows, let us pray in our own way that we may notice and accept the divinity of tiny things, the divine of ordinary miracles, and even in the awkward mistakes. In frivolous conversation with friends, in wordless companionship with a loved one, in the work that seems futile one day but resonates with meaning the next, in the shared meal, the shopping list, in the peaceful sleep, and in the simple progression of the spring days. We pray this moment to keep tender vigil over our precious, imperfect lives, to know each one as a vessel, however cracked or broken, of the holy. So may we strive to recognize the indwelling presence of God in all people, in all living things, and even in ourselves. In the silence, may we open our hearts. So may it be. Amen. Please welcome the Reverend Beth Miller.
Thank you, everybody. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. As she said, I'm Beth Miller. I'm recently retired from my third retirement gig as half-time associate minister at the Sarasota congregation. I just retired from that. I'm hoping retirement might stick this time. We'll see. But it's a pleasure to do guest speaking for congregations around the area like this, because I can say no if I don't want to do it, but I did want to do it, and I'll be here next week as well. I'm going to talk to you this week and next week about our sources, some of our sources. We have 7 principles, perhaps 8 soon. That's in the works. They're all being reviewed right now by a committee of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We have 6 sources, and the source that I'm going to talk to you about today is the first source, which I will get to in a little bit. But I want to start by setting a context with a couple of readings. The first is a brief snippet of a poem by Mary Oliver. She writes, "Still, I want in my life to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery." And then this from Michael Lerner in Tikkun magazine a few years ago. He writes, "At the heart of our existence is a mystery, and various spiritual traditions have come into existence as response to this primary mystery, the mystery that there is anything at all, the mystery that the universe seems to have a consciousness and a meaning that transcends our daily experience. It is the reality of human experience that at our core, we respond to the universe with a sense of awe and wonder at creation. We are dazzled by the incomprehensible fact of being itself. Through history, we have responded to this sense of awe and wonder with song, with prayers, with dance, with theology, with philosophy, with great art and architecture, with a sense of humility and a recognition that there is something that is both part of us and beyond us, something which we cannot name or control. It is from this sense of awe that the most profound wisdom springs." So the hymn, where do we come from? Without the book, it's kind of hard to read because there's different parts. How many of you are familiar with Where Do We Come From? Any? Are you? All right. Well, if you've got the book, let's try it. It's got multiple parts. We'll just kind of run through it and see how it goes. It's number 1003 if you have the book. If not, the words, I believe, will be up there. But you don't have the music, do you? No. Yeah, just the words. Okay, choir members, I'm counting on you. All right, how many of you are choir members? All right, you're going to be on next week, so this will be kind of a rehearsal for that. Okay. All right, let's give it a try. But you get the idea, right? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Do you embrace the mystery? Do you have moments when you feel a powerful sense of wonder at being alive and here in this world? In her poem, Mary Oliver longs to be willing to be dazzled, to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. And indeed, it is a difficult world these days, is it not? And Michael Lerner says, this is what it is. This is what is at our core. We are dazzled, he says, dazzled by the incomprehensible fact of being itself. And he goes on to talk about the human response to this sense of dazzlement, and prominent in his list are the things of beauty that we human beings create: art, architecture, dance, music. As a child, I was quite often dazzled. What dazzled you as a child? Can you remember? Were you dazzled by fireflies? I was. Storms, stars, the dark of night. What dazzled you? Michael Lerner told us that at the heart of our existence, and at the heart of all religions and spiritual traditions, is the mystery that there is anything at all. The mystery that the universe seems to have a meaning beyond our daily experience. But as we grew up, as we got taken up with worldly ambitions and the burdens of being adults, we tended to lose some of our willingness to be dazzled, to even kind of recognize or be struck by the awesome mystery of it all. At least I know that I did. Life got serious and I needed to step up, as did we all, right? As we matured, we became more literal, more practical. Life became more of a challenge, more of a problem to be solved than a wonder to be explored. Our adult lives became more about responsibility and control. There are many reasons for this, of course, and we do indeed need the attitudes and convictions of adulthood to survive and thrive in this world. But we mustn't let ourselves drift too far away from mystery and wonder. And why is that? Because without mystery and wonder, life becomes pretty drab. Deeper meanings and closer connections can so easily get lost in our focus on achieving goals and doing what needs to be done on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. And many of us here today, I guess maybe most of us here today, are retired from that phase of our lives, from the ambitious, goal-setting, achieving phases of our lives. Our goals and to-do lists have dwindled and at least shifted significantly to other pursuits than what we used to do. And then there's the state of the world that we're living in right now. As one of our gentlemen mentioned during the concerns, there's so much to be concerned and upended, upset about: the pandemic, politics, war, climate change, the war in Ukraine now, and more. Are we even willing or able to let ourselves be dazzled these days? I believe that if we could try to remember to notice, if we could refocus more of our attention on beauty, on mystery, on wonder, on opening ourselves to dazzlement, it would help us get through these hard times. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, we rightly spend a great deal of our time and energy on social justice, on doing all that we can to make the world a better place. This is important. It's what our faith calls us to do, each in our own ways, according to our own inclinations and capacities and abilities. But we must remember that another important part of the spiritual quest for UUs is to nurture that sense of mystery and wonder, to be willing to be dazzled. This is articulated in the first of the 6 sources of our Unitarian Universalist Statement of Purposes and Principles. I'm not going to take the time to go over all of that today. There are multiple sermons in that basic statement. But to set a context for this sermon and next week's, the The 7, soon perhaps to be 8, as I mentioned, principles, are the aspirations we've agreed upon for our faith. We aspire to grow in our ability to incorporate those 7 principles even more fully into how we live our lives. The 6 sources are our grounding and our inspiration. We look to and explore the sources, each according to our own inclinations, to help us understand and live more fully into the principles that we affirm. So we have aspiration and inspiration in that statement. That's what the principles and sources are basically all about. And it's good for us to pay attention and review those from time to time and allow ourselves to be deepened, to be moved by that information. The first source that our Unitarian Universalist faith draws upon is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. In naming this as our first source, our faith acknowledges the profound truth of transcending mystery and wonder and affirms that experiencing it, not just thinking about it, not just talking about it, but experiencing it directly is important for our spiritual development. And for me, experiencing transcendence is most accessible through beauty. The beauty of the natural world, my goodness, do we live in a beautiful place, and the beauty that we human beings create. So instead of just talking about mystery and wonder, we should maybe take a field trip to the beach and stand at the edge of the ocean and feel the wind in our hair and smell its life force and feel the rhythm coming up through our feet and pulsating through our whole bodies. Or maybe we should go to a hospital and be dazzled by a newborn baby encountering its world beyond its mother's body for the first time. Or we could travel together to see the aurora borealis, nature's most amazing light show of brilliant colors against the black sky. Wouldn't that be cool? Or perhaps we would like to be dazzled by the beauty our fellow human beings create. We could take a field trip to any of the many art galleries here in our area. We're so fortunate to have the culture that we have here in this area. It's impractical to arrange worship in such ways, but I assure you that such experiences are indeed worshipful. More than doctrine or creed, scripture or dogma, wonder really is the basis of worship. Holding up that which is of worth, right? That's what worship means. The Jewish theologian, Abraham Joshua Herscher, says, to pray is to take notice of the wonder, to regain a sense of the mystery that animates all beings. It isn't complicated at all. We don't even need to make special trips. The wonder that creates worship and resonates in prayer is found in the everyday encounters of life, if we but notice and recognize it. There is a constant flow of epiphanies in this world, if we but allow ourselves to be dazzled by them. As we stop and notice such encounters, as we allow ourselves to be dazzled, our naturally curious human minds ask questions, right? Was that life somewhere before it was conceived and grew inside its mother? Where did the teeming life of the sea come from, and where does it go, and what is its purpose? How vast is the universe, and how did it begin, and will it ever end, and why? And our questioning naturally becomes more personal. Where did I come from, and where will I go after my life here is over? And what is the purpose of my own life at this point? All of us ask such questions. Unitarian Universalist faith development programs for both children and adults are designed to help us grapple with these kinds of questions. And our answers change as we experience and learn and grow. Delving into the mystery is part of our human nature, and for Unitarian Universalists, the very nature of our spiritual quest. Now, paradoxically, these kinds of questions bring us to the edge of any certainty, and on the other side of that edge, of course, lies mystery, right? What we can't know, we can't know. A friend of mine and a colleague, Marianne Moore, says, religions are born of the questions. God is born of the mystery. Religions are born of the questions. God is born of the mystery. Religions, being born out of questions, try to offer answers that address the nature of ultimate reality, or what many people call God. But all answers eventually run aground and must finally return to mystery. Such is the limited nature of our human knowledge thus far in our evolution and in our scientific explorations. We know more than they did several hundred years ago, but we don't know it all. We can't know it all at this point. Whatever people believe or think we can know about God, in the final analysis, that word, God, stands for something utterly unknowable in any factual way, at least the way you tend to use it, right? Its true nature is simply a mystery. Whatever that is that holds it all together, the energy, whatever it is, it's a mystery. All religions, whatever attributes they may assign or characteristics they may claim to know about God, acknowledges actually that at the end of any certainty, we do arrive at mystery. Really? Well, we think of religions as providing answers to those kinds of questions, right? And some of us rejected other religions because we didn't believe the answers. Okay, true. But at the end of the answers, all of those religions, there is still the mystery. So, here's some examples. Speaking of the creative force of the universe, the Native Americans of the plains called it Wakantanka, which translates the great mystery. The medieval Christian mystic Meister Eckhart, describes it as a mystery behind mystery, a mystery within mystery that no light has ever penetrated. That's what this Christian theologian said about God. In the Hindu holy text, the Bhagavad Gita, the god Krishna says of himself, I am the silence of mysteries. The silence of mysteries. I love that. One of the 99 names for Allah in Islam is the hidden. The Taoist text, the Tao Te Ching, says, mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. Those of us who come out of more traditional religions, as did I, may have found this focus on mystery frustrating and perhaps irritating. As a young child, I was taught specific doctrines about God and developed particular images of God in Sunday school. And when we asked questions that went beyond the biblical answers, we were usually told that it was a mystery and that we were not to question. That was the hard part. For me, that was very frustrating because I was a child and I wanted to be a good girl, I also felt some guilt for asking or even thinking about these unanswerable kinds of questions, especially if they seemed to contradict or question the answers that were given by the adults in authority at the church. Who was I to question my Sunday school teachers or the minister? By the time I was 14, I gave up on it and drifted away from church. But here in Unitarian Universalism, which I discovered in 1974, we are still told it's a mystery, but far from being sinful or not to be questioned, we are assured that our questions are natural and good and an essential part of our spiritual growth. We offer very little in the way of specific attributes or characteristics about God, and rarely use that word without making this larger context that I'm using that word in clear, right? Our faith draws on many sources for our contemplation, but leaves it to each of us to figure out the nature of ultimate reality for ourselves, based on our own questioning, study, and direct experience. God, then, as I use the word, is merely a symbol for ultimate reality, which, in my own personal theological understanding, is indeed transcending mystery and wonder. That's what God means to me, mystery and wonder. We humanist-leaning UUs tend to look more to science for answers, but science finally rests in mystery too. For Albert Einstein, the experience of mystery is essential to being human. He said, "The most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mystical. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead." But, as contemporary mathematician and cosmologist Brian Swim asserts in The Hidden Heart of the Cosmos, there is no pre-existing Newtonian space into which the universe explodes forth. There is no external Newtonian timepiece clicking away outside the universe. Space and time erupt together with mass and energy in the primordial mystery of the universe's flaring forth. There it is again, primordial mystery. Science, like religion, finally hits the limits of what we can know at any given time and bumps into mystery. Why is there anything at all rather than nothing? Where do the laws of physics come from? So where does that leave us? Religion ends in mystery. Science ends in mystery. Human knowing is stuck, at least for now, in mystery. Back to our UU sources. The living tradition we share draws from many sources, and the first of these sources is direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. This brings me back to being willing to be dazzled. And for me, back to faith, or forward to faith, if you will. Isn't it simply amazing that we exist? Isn't it simply amazing that our universe came into being and our planet was formed, and upon it life sprang and began to evolve? Isn't it amazing that we don't simply spin out of control, that we stay in orbit and everything else does too, and it actually works? When you stop and think about it, when you take a moment to notice the myriad manifestations of this unlikely existence, aren't you simply dazzled? The first source invites us not to just talk about it, but to experience that transcending mystery and wonder. Its aim is that we are moved to a renewal of the spirit and to an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Taking time to pause and appreciate beauty brings me into that direct experience and renews my spirit more than anything else. And this brings me a sense of trust and faith that I longed for and sought through the teachings of the church I grew up in, but could never quite grab hold of there. Here, in the freedom of Unitarian Universalism, to both ask questions and accept mystery, I find it. It invites us into deeply notice life and get in there with it and come to know how intimately we are a part of it. May we always be willing to be dazzled, especially in these hard times when it's so hard not to get brought down by what's going on in the world. That beauty's still there. That dazzlement's there. We can do both and, right? May we always be willing to be dazzled, because beyond all the ideas and justification for dazzlement that I've offered you this morning, it's just fun to be dazzled. Go out there and be dazzled. Amen. Let's sing together. All creatures of the earth and sky, verses 1 through 4. our benediction this morning, I send you forth with a repeat of the reading by Mary Oliver. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. As we extinguish the flame this morning, may you be dazzled today and as many days as possible. May you rest in the great mystery, for in this troubled world we need mystery and wonder more than ever. The chalice is extinguished. May its light go with us into the world. Amen.